Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Two Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I want to bring up a fan theory that one of my longtime patrons brought to my attention, which is why the introduction of Shibai Otsutsuki is actually a much bigger deal than any of us have ever realized, and they have such a thorough enough explanation that I want to weigh in on their fan theory because I think a lot of you guys will enjoy it as well as get your eyes open. So with this Patreon fan theory, they say that Shibai Otsutsuki or another Otsutsuki is actually pulling the strings behind a lot of what's occurred in Boruto, and they have a reason for why they think this is the case. They say the reason why Sumire and Sarada are immune to the Shinjutsu is that they believe another Otsutsuki or even Shibai might have blessed them with immunity to the Shinjutsu omnipotence. They say that this god might have realized the cost of what it means to become a god is too great to pay, and they're now trying to actively stop others from doing so, and they believe it might be Shibai Otsutsuki himself. So right away, what I like about this is that on its face, it actually answers some of the questions that we had about Sarada and Sumire being immune to the omnipotence, and this would provide a much better answer than what a lot of fans dread, which is the love triangle of Boruto and Sarada and Sumire, where each of them are vying for the heart of Boruto Uzumaki and feel a deep love for him, which is what actually counters the Shinjutsu. A lot of people want to throw that theory in the trash. It also stays in line with what we know that Masashi Kishimoto tends to do for his characters for the most part, which is avoid making them completely evil for the sake of being evil. While I can say I'm not personally 100% on board with this theory, I do concede that the logic here is actually pretty sound, and if this ended up being the case, I'm not going to be shocked. Here's why and how it could have a major ripple effect on the story if my patron is indeed correct. We've seen before with Otsutsuki being a clan where no full-blooded, naturally born Otsutsuki was actually good in the manga. All of them were pretty selfish and adhering to the clan law to seek power by harvesting chakra fruits on planets that they destroyed. It's only been the partial Otsutsuki that we've seen who've actually been good. Hagoromo and Hamura, they were half human and had strong emotions and connections towards actually preserving life, not destroying it. Tsuneri was redeemed after Naruto hit him so hard that he knocked him out of his Tenseigan chakra mode in Naruto the Last. They were clearly exceptions when it comes to the Otsutsuki clan. With Shibai, we haven't outright been told if he's good or evil, but what we do know is that he's at the very least actually destroyed thousands of planets and murdered trillions of people as a result because he's eaten so many chakra fruits he's become a god. When Amato spoke about his Shinjutsu in chapter 75 of Boruto Naruto Next Generations, it was all descriptive of him being a man of great power and raw power. He wasn't being built up like Hagoromo, who is stated to have great power but repeatedly implied to possess a kind heart and having used his powers for creation more than once. That's where I think there is some pushback on the notion that Shibai has been the one actively trying to prevent other Otsutsuki from attaining godhood. However, it's also again worth noting Kishimoto does have a tendency to write a gray area for most of his antagonists. It's very rare in Naruto's manga and just in the Naruto franchise where the villains have been pure evil. For every Hidan who was a bloodthirsty killer, we got someone like Kisame who had a very interesting backstory which made you question if perhaps Kisame turned out the way he did because of the shinobi system failing him. We haven't seen that with Otsutsuki clan members yet. At the very least, the naturally born full-blooded Otsutsuki, they've been all evil. It would be a great misdirect if Amato, his narrative for Shibai's powers showing the raw power he possessed, actually be a red herring, and we learn this is someone who has actively been trying to stop the clan from crossing the line where they go too far by attaining godhood. There's nothing wrong with inherently evil characters if it's executed properly. You don't need to have a character with a sad backstory or sympathetic reasons in order for them to be a good villain. If you think that, you need to read more series. The idea that Shibai reaching godhood led him to trying to prevent others from attaining it because of the price being that high works narratively because right now Shibai is at a point where he's transcended life, death, and rebirth. He's gone beyond that samsaric cycle that Naruto's 72-volume manga told a story of, which is the cycle of dying, getting reborn, living, and dying again and repeating it. The Otsutsuki do this with the Karma Seal. He's gone beyond updating his genetics via consuming chakra fruits and no longer needs a Karma Seal. He's transcended above it to a higher plane of existence. Perhaps there's a bad karma that awaits those who have gone through so many horrible exploits to attain power. That might be the case. We know in Naruto, in that world, there exists some form of the afterlife, better known as the Pure Land, where the souls like Minato go to when they vanish spiritual when they die. So the idea there being something for people who committed mass genocide on this level makes sense as well. The question that we have to ask ourselves is, what is it about Sumire and Sarada specifically that makes Shibai or whatever mysterious Otsutsuki out there bless them with immunity to omnipotence? That's where the big question comes in. Granted, we could fast forward to 2026 or 2027 when Boruto's manga is likely ended and there's some major reveal about what makes these characters special, but for right now, outside of Sarada being that first Uchiha born after the cycle of hatred between reincarnated was broken, and Sumire having Nue, a failed attempt by Danzo to recreate one of Kaguya's hidden jutsu, there's a question as to if there's anything that relates to them that makes them stand out to an Otsutsuki unless it goes back to love. If it's because of their love for Boruto, whether it be romantic or brotherly or friendly love, whatever you want to say, if that ends up being the case, you could spin it as Shibai, through extending beyond needing a body, learned the one thing Otsutsuki are incapable of if we go by the manga continuity, which is the understanding of emotions like love. I like the concept of this theory because of the fact it shows there is a price for attaining power of this magnitude, and it could explain why Shibai first ascended to godhood. There's nobody else who's reached this status, despite many in the Otsutuski clan attempting to do it, and it would explain why Tiiger called Boruto the Star of Hope, implying there's something special about Boruto Uzumaki when it comes to the Otsutuski clan. We had Naruto be the child of prophecy to stop fighting amongst the major nations of the ninja world, Boruto being the star of hope for the actual universe, bringing balance to the greater universe with the Otsutsuki, potentially Shibai or another Otsutsuki helping Boruto does work to a degree, but if we go that route, that means Samurai 8, where Hachimaru absorbed a god and literally became a god, becoming Fudomuyo himself, where he says he's still connected to the world despite his fear that came from losing his body and ascending beyond death itself. He literally became a spiritual being connected to everything in the universe and transcended time and space itself, going above a fourth dimensional being capable of creating multiverses, manipulating death, granting wishes, and erasing entire existence. That's the route Boruto could go if the Samurai 8 comparison is right, which I do think is the case. If the purpose of Shibai or whatever Otsutsuki is at Boruto to make a sacrifice to reach that level and erase the damage of the Otsutsuki clan, that might explain the manipulation of events and why Tiiger was so adamant on Boruto being the Star of Hope. He'd basically be the one who prevented others from seeking that path, similar to how Naruto met the conditions to stop the cycle of hatred between the reincarnates of Asha and Inja. While I'm not fully ready to commit to the idea of Shibai being this really good Otsutsuki trying to save the clan and save the universe, and it's partially because I don't think Shibai is going to be revealed to be a good guy, I do have to concede I've been saying from its introduction that Shibai is coming across like the god in Samurai 8, and given how many elements from that story are being sprinkled into Boruto and twisted to fit the Naruto lore, it won't shock me if we see Kishimoto attempt to tell elements of that story he wanted with Samurai 8 before he was forced to conclude the writing of that story due to the low sales. Shibai being Fudomuyo and Boruto being Hachimaru, it lines up and it adds to this fan theory that's actually been submitted. That being said, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Do you think that Shibai or another god is trying to prevent Otsutsuki clan members from reaching godhood? Why do you think Sarada and Sumire were blessed with immunity to the omnipotent Shinjutsu? What do you think the price is to attaining godhood? Why you think that over? Click here to watch these other Naruto Explained videos.